J, because I thought we could do a little. I felt that you were quite hungry to do a bit more podcasts since we don't get to talk much anyway.
True.
As we were just talking about Marvel films and stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be well. I spoke to you a few months ago about the idea of just doing a quick podcast really on the consoles that we were lucky enough to get and have actually been out a year now.
Yes.
So starting with the Series X, of course, because our priorities are right, and what your thoughts are on them, and there's a lot to dissect really. So first, Jay, first of all, how's the console going?
What, the Xbox, yeah?
The Series X, how
Series
is it
X.
going for you? How are you finding it?
It's great. It's weird. Like, when I first got it, I kind of came into it not really expecting much. Not really. Like, in my mind, all I was thinking about was, right, play Valhalla. Because that was, like, my only thing. That was, like, all I had, right? Valhalla
Right.
was out, and I was like, cool. Like, I'm going to be able to play the first next-gen game, and I'm going to enjoy it. And then I started playing Valhalla, and I was like, oh, this is what 4K is. Because I'd also just gotten my new TV, my new 4K TV. So I was like, I'm sort of getting all this new. I sort of like evolved, I've like leveled up, onto the next level of gaming and media intake, as it were. So yeah, it was sort of like a lot all at once. But I think having the TV helped. I think if I hadn't have had the nicer TV, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed the console as much because I wouldn't have been able to extract all the good juices from the Xbox, as it were.
Because you didn't have a 4K TV, right? You
No.
upgraded to 4K.
But I think my previous TV was like 32 1080 at best.
Okay.
And it was like a really old TV.
Yeah, like you say, definitely. So, Jay, I actually think on the TV point, I'm starting to think that HDR might be a bit of a bigger deal than the 4K. I don't know what your thoughts are
What do you
on
mean?
that. So, high dynamic range,
Mm-hmm.
I might be misinterpreting this, but I think it's making all the colours a bit brighter and a bit softer. And it just gives it a more vibrant look. And I know 4K does obviously look better, but I find the HDR more noticeable to my eyes, if I'm honest.
Isn't HDR like just sort of like almost like a built-in feature?
HDR's like on TVs,
Yeah.
I think is essentially darker darks and lighter lights.
Right. So don't most like 4K TVs
Most
come with
modern
that
TVs
now?
do, yeah.
Because I know
I'm just
my
talking...
TV goes into like a gaming mode, and that like puts on the HDR, so it sort of changes the way the TV looks.
Yeah, no, it is automatic. It's a thing on the TV. I'm just bringing up the discussion of HDR versus 4K, basically.
Oh, okay.
Because most of the time I'm not playing games in 4K anyway, because I've got them on performance mode. But anyway,
that's true, actually. Yeah, me too. Although I guess
I think it's higher than 1080p, but
yeah,
not 4K.
I think we're probably playing like either probably 1440, I imagine.
Something like that.
Yeah, somewhere in between.
Yeah. So anyway, you're enjoying the console.
Yeah.
Any problems?
No.
So far?
No, weirdly, no. Like, there's no noise, strange things.
Noise. Yeah.
Have
you used a disc in it yet?
Yeah, I've played Overwatch.
No, an adult game.
Funny. I might have played Fallout 4.
Oh yeah, nice.
I might have watched a Blu-ray, maybe. I think I tested out the Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I mean, yeah, I can't remember if I put anything else in. I'm sure I have. Yeah, but no complaints, Like, strangely, like, it's actually just kind of like really... I don't know. It's just really normal. Like, it doesn't get... Weirdly, when I first had it, there was a noticeable difference in temperature in the room. But now I don't really feel it as much. Strangely, I don't know why. Maybe it's just actually, gotten used to it heating up the room, I don't know.
Sure. I'm the same, just from a physical point of view. I've used 1 or 2 discs and it's been
not
fine.
many.
I think it is a bit louder when the disc drive sort of comes
See,
in.
that's probably why, because I don't use discs, so I wouldn't notice. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's I love how quickly it turns on. That is huge thing for me.
That is, yeah.
Like we went from PS2 being almost instant to PS3 taking forever to PS4 taking slightly less longer to then and those generations.
Yeah.
And then this generation, it's like we're back to things turning on straight away. It's very funny how things go around the circles like that.
Yeah, there was a thing on PS4 about Death Stranding having like really quick load times.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And I think
and Ghost.
I still haven't played a game. I think actually the only other quickest game I think is Ghost that I've played that's as quick as Death Stranding. I haven't played a single Xbox game that I think is as quick load times wise. But I think that's more just to do with the games than it is the actual console necessarily. Although the console is definitely the quickest compared to like other things, like Xbox One was super slow, but this is pretty quick.
Which, just a quick aside to that, Jay, Horizon 5, does that load up quick? Or
I don't know. It's not out yet. Comes out tomorrow.
Okay.
It came out on the 5th for people who bought the special edition of it. So they got 4 days early access, but it cost a bloody arm and a leg to do that. I was like,
okay, fine. So moving aside from the physical thing, that I was just going to say, by the way, I do agree. I do think it over time the amount of heat that comes out of it can be quite. You could feel it, kind of thing, but not from a wiring perspective. Just
it'd have to be on for very, very long.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't like get hot enough where I was like, oh crap, this feels dangerous. Like it didn't start to smell like burning plastic or anything, No noise, brilliant.
So on the actual console then, Jay, as in our experience, the UI and all sorts, what are your thoughts a year later, or however, well, it was a year later for you.
Yeah.
A year later on the UI basically being the same, the dashboard.
Oh, you mean there being like no difference between one and this?
One, yeah.
What's the thing? I remember when it was the original one dashboard, because that was different, right? The first time the one came out, the dashboard was slightly different. And then when did it change from that to this newer one on one?
I want to say
like
something like 2014.
Oh,
15, it might even been 16.
We'll say 15 if we're.
Well, they changed it quite a few times, but it was within that vein.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I guess. Are you saying that you kind of have expected there to be a newer one at this point?
I just like new things.
I don't know. I think they've sort of they've gotten to a point where it's like not broken, so why would you fix it, kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
Didn't they change the thing about you can customize the dashboard, which you couldn't do on one? Is that right? Because I never actually really used my one that much, so I don't really know. Like when I say customize, like add things to home, Could you do that on the one? I can't even remember. I don't remember doing that. I remember that being a feature of the Series X, which is why it was like a thing.
I honestly can't remember, mate.
Yeah,
I never do it.
I actually do. I add whenever I play a new game, I add it to home, just so it's like.
Really?
Yeah, it's more of like an aesthetic thing.
It.
Well, that's what it is. You pin to home, same thing.
Okay, I add it to pins.
Oh.
But I thought pin to home was when you add like a whole row.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do that. I don't know. It's more of an aesthetic thing. It's just like I like to have it. I like to have a page that shows me everything to do with the game.
Sure.
I don't even really use it. It's just nice to see, I actually have I have you as one of my things on home.
Oh my god.
Because then I can check what achievements you've got, your most recent achievement and stuff, and when you were last online, stuff like that.
Maybe I'll do the same for you because I never use that feature.
It's actually really good. I literally all I've got to do is be like, "What's Nick been playing? Alien Isolation. Cool."
Fair.
Yeah.
Yes, that was an achievement for rewards. Yeah. Fair. Okay. So yeah, I would have preferred a new dashboard, but I think a year later, do we both agree then that it's pretty optimal?
They obviously don't see the need to change it anytime soon. Yeah. Unless we get literally, this happens so often with us where we'll like talk about something and then there'll be an announcement the next day. Dashboard's changing in like a month. It's like, oh Jesus Christ. That's happened so many times where we've just talked about something and this happened the next day.
For sure.
Ugh.
Do you remember the original Xbox One dashboard? Like the kind of lots of squares, a bit like a Windows 8 UI.
I actually can't. I can't even
Dude,
think of it in my head.
YouTube it later. It's really.
Do you know what's weird? I actually
remember
remember the blades on 360. What they were called, weren't they?
Yeah, boys.
That I remember more than I do the bloody Xbox One. Yeah.
The blades.
Blades were good, man.
Baby. So, something about the UI which I love, Jay, is that almost 90% of the time it's super smooth.
Okay, yeah.
And an Xbox One was never smooth. Ever.
No, it was super. I think that was the thing that actually made me want to play the PS4 more. Was that the PS4 there was no loading, no nothing. It was super smooth, and the one that was just like so laggy and awful. I was like, oh god.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I haven't noticed any problems on Series X with like loading in between stuff. I'm trying to think now, actually, whether the PS5 is the same. Or
well, let's stick to Series X for now, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember. Yeah.
What do you think about the new Microsoft Store layout? I'm not sure how much you've gone on that.
Yeah, I've gone on it a fair amount. It's weird. Like, it's one of those things where if you don't go on it a lot, it'll seem quite foreign to you. But if you've been on it like a couple times, you'll just it becomes a lot more intuitive. That's I think one of the good things about a lot of UI design on dashboards recently is that they're fairly intuitive. Sometimes they can be a bit not as intuitive, which I found on other consoles. So actually, weirdly, the Xbox One, I remember the old Microsoft Store was really not intuitive to me. I didn't like it at all. Never really got used to it, but then they changed it, and I was like, oh, okay. Seems a bit different. Not too bad now.
Yeah, I think I prefer this store, but I'm still not convinced I know how to navigate it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you just got to sort of play with it for a bit, I tend to just check sales like once every couple of weeks. I'll be like, right, what's on sale right now? And is there anything that is like a tenner that I wouldn't mind buying?
Yeah, sure. I know there are sales on all the time. I myself, Jay, you know what I'm like. I've got a list of like 2 games I want to buy. I add them to my wish list.
Yeah, me too.
And then I just check that every week. Yeah. And then if it's on offer, it'll tell me.
As soon as Miles Morales is on sale, I'm getting it.
Me too.
Can't wait.
So that leaves us, Jay, to the games, I suppose. Or actually, before we go to games, how are you thinking about the controller?
Oh, that's a thing. Let me grab that really quick. Okay.
Are you using the headset you're recording on for your Xbox as well?
You know what's weird? I have only used my headset on PlayStation 5.
That is.
I don't use it on my Xbox. There's a good reason for that. Reason being, the Xbox makes no noise, and the PlayStation does. So I kind of feel like I need to sometimes. But yeah, I don't really feel the need to use headphones a lot, honestly. Although now that I've used it on my PlayStation, I'm actually more tempted to use it on the Xbox. I'm actually glad that the controllers actually have the plug for like a normal headset now. Because before you had to have the bloody fancy one. I was like, I'm so glad they finally put it in. Because it's like,
why? Interestingly, Jay, I always wear headphones when I'm playing like a story-based game. Always.
Never.
And furthermore, I completely agree with you. The headphone jack's got to live. Yep. I think basically PlayStation did it, and I just don't think Xbox had.
I was annoyed when they got rid of it off the bloody iPhone.
I know. I do think Xbox changed that for their Xbox One controllers eventually.
Yeah, I think there was an updated controller that came out, but I still haven't got that one. I've still just got the original one that came with my one. So.
Same. Well, I did before I sold it. Lol.
Sure.
I don't know about you, Jay, but I still think this is the best controller.
I really like the D-pad, actually. Weirdly enough.
I love the grips on the back.
Yeah, that is definitely one thing, is that it's got like a sort of texture to it. But you forget, it's weird, when I'm playing, I totally forget the grip's there. And then I'll sort of like move slightly and it'll remind me and be like, oh, okay. but it doesn't
Sure.
it doesn't feel like horrible. Like sometimes you can imagine that level of texture might feel a bit like like
Irritating on your
sandpaper
hands.
almost,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But it doesn't. If
yeah.
anything, it definitely it does make a grip. You know, it kind
Yeah,
of
it
makes it
does, and it feels lush.
easier to hold. Definitely.
Yeah, and when you press the trigger, like it works. I'm like, yes, this works for sure. I do think it's the best controller out there.
I like how simple it is actually, but
I think it feels
it
better
actually
than
reminds me
Xbox
a
One.
lot of the original Xbox controller. Like how it sort of has remember the really fat ones where they had like a sort of like
The
almost like a
Duke.
crescent moon,
Yeah,
like the original Xbox.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like this kind of feels a little bit more like that in my hand, even though it doesn't really look like it, but it just kind of feels like it. I don't know. I didn't really like the one. The one kind of had. It's almost like when it fit in your palm, it was almost like holding two balls almost.
Oh yeah.
Like they were like really like rounded off. It was kind of not great. Whereas these are a bit flatter. They got a bit more.
Yeah.
Just they feel a bit more ergonomic, I guess is the word.
And it's more of a matte finish, isn't it? The actual
Oh yeah, it's
controller.
more matte, whereas the other one was a bit more sort of
I
like
think it's a bit more
glossy, I
shiny.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So both agree the controller's lush, right?
Yeah.
Lasting well, no issues with the controller.
That's true. They do last quite a while too, actually. Yeah.
What
Decent battery life.
I was thinking more just generally, but that too.
Actually, that's a point. That was one thing that annoyed me about the one, and I think I actually have got a little bit of an issue with this one.
Yes. I know what you're
Is
gonna bring up.
where when you move the sticks, they
Sticks.
sort of rub against the side, and they sort of wear away, and eventually the thing would pop off. Luckily, neither of mine have because I barely used it. But I can imagine if I used this every day, eventually that would just wear away and it would just pop off, And I don't really want to have to buy a new controller just because it's worn away so much. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not a
definitely.
massive fan of that.
I
That'll get
don't
annoying.
think.
It doesn't look like
I think.
it wears as much as the old one actually. It looks like it's a bit harder of a plastic.
Yeah, I
So I
think
think
it
it
is,
might be
and I
okay.
also think I played my one. I would argue, let's say 4 times as much as you.
Mm.
And I think it basically got to a point where it was almost like it got to a harder plastic layer and it just stopped eroding. That's
Okay.
the
That's not
only
too
way I
bad
can
then.
explain it.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Because I played with PlayStation 4 probably about as much as you played the one, and yeah, that thing started to wear away pretty quick too. It's strange that, isn't it? You'd think they'd make it. I mean, they obviously have to make it somewhat cheap enough so that it can, be bulk made, but it also has to be sturdy enough so it can last. But I guess they probably also want to make them so they're not that sturdy, so that you have to buy more of them if they do eventually break.
That's definitely true.
That seems to be the trend in the last 50 odd years.
Definitely.
Mm.
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, that eventually brings us to the games, Jay, and the performance of the console.
Sure.
So it sounds like we both basically pick performance mode from these new gen games or next gen games.
Performance mode is like better frames, right? You sacrifice graphical quality for frame quality. It's starting to annoy me that is a thing still. Why aren't there games where you can have the best of both? I feel like next gen kind of deserves that, right? Is that a thing that they're going to get rid of? They're going to wean into it, or is it just going to always be you pick between quality and performance?
Well, to your point you made last week on the show, Jay, I think we're getting done over here. Because as you mentioned, PS5 and I assume Series X, maybe not Series X, but my point being, we're looking at consoles that can potentially play in 8K.
Yeah.
Why are we even having that discussion when most games can't play 60 at 4K? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me be very, very
clear
about this.
Kind of annoying me actually.
And I think Jay's on the same page. Frame rate to me is more important than 4K. Okay. So in that respect, let's get the frames up. But let's get the frames up before the K. That being said, I'm not going to die on a hill over 120 frames per second. I'm just talking about.
No,
60.
keep everything at 60 and make sure we can play it at 4. It annoys me that I think there's actually multiple games out right now that say in the store that you can play them 4K at 60, but I don't think you can.
I think that would be false advertising.
Yeah, I think there's. I want to say that Guardians is 4K at 60, but that definitely. I mean, it hits 60.
That's not true.
It hits 60, but I don't think it maintains it. Because again, it comes with performance or quality mode. So
yeah, no, because I saw the Digital Foundry video and I'm pretty sure the 4K mode was 30 frames.
Yeah, I think I actually switched it to C, and it didn't. It just 30 frames just feels so gross now. Like it just doesn't. It doesn't feel. It's just It's so jittery. It's nasty. Really nasty.
Dude, I played Valhalla in the snow or whatever. I just turned it on 30 frames for about 2 minutes, and I was just like, I am not playing.
Yeah, it makes you feel ill. It's like, oh, yeah. I can't. It's like watching a movie that's stuttering and loading the entire time. And that's another thing. I think when you put a game on performance mode, no, quality mode, it tends to make everything whir a bit more. Like it makes more noise. Like it kind of boosts itself. It's almost like gone into like hyperdrive, and it's like, why is my console? Why this shouldn't be a thing? It should. I'll be happy. I'll be like 10 out of 10. This console, if it's dead quiet, it can play 4K 60 frames and maintain it. Then I'll be happy. I don't understand why we're not already at that point. Why are we not at that point?
Dude, I totally agree, man.
It must be like a thing about games not being able to put up with that, right? Or like maybe even the console not being able to put up with it.
Well, we've been told time and time again that these consoles should easily be doing 4K 60 frames. Easily.
And some people are even saying 120, and I'm like, no, that's not. That seems like a very fever dream.
Halo multiplayer is apparently 120 on console, I believe.
No, I'll believe it when I see it. We'll have to come back in a year and see see what happens.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. I think that's the big issue for us right now, for both of us, right?
Yeah.
This, like.
I mean, I'm not like gonna, lose sleep over it right now. But it's definitely like a thing where I was kind of like, I'm a bit disappointed. Where I'm like, I thought everything was going to be 4K 60. Why is it not? I mean, it doesn't not feel like it. Like it, I don't really like notice it at the minute. But as soon as I do notice it, I'm never going to be able to unsee it.
I don't think we notice it because we are playing higher than 1080. So like
exactly.
Remember when we did the Valhalla special? We were like, dude, this looks incredible, even if it's not.
It does.
With 4K. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even anything above 1080 is still good enough, honestly.
I think so.
Yeah.
Dude, for me, like frame rate is just it's smoothness, isn't it? It's smoothness.
You've got to be able to like, your vision can't be stuttery. It has to be smooth. It also makes your experience of the game much better. I feel like I can actually perform better when I have better frames. I remember I actually noticed that for the first time playing League of Legends way back in the day. I remember like only being able to hit 30 frames. And then one day, I think we got better internet, and all of a sudden I was hitting 120 frames, and I was like, I went from like being an okay player of that game to like a better than okay, just because the frame difference. Like I think a lot of that is like they say that PC players are better primarily just because they have better frames constantly. Like if you're so used to the frames all the time, you're just going to be a better player. You're going to be able to see people before other people see you.
I agree.
So for multiplayer games, it definitely makes a difference, but maybe solo, maybe not as much,
I think I would be playing Valhalla worse at 30 frames.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'd be really bad. I wouldn't be able to parry and counter and all that, and I won't be able to do it.
Exactly right.
No.
So I agree. I mean, even with Ghost, which we'll come on to later this week, that at 60 frames, different game. Different game, bro.
Yeah, you can't play that anything less.
And like I'm at a point now, Jay, where I wouldn't be able to go back to 30 frames Ghost as Tsushima. You know what I mean?
Did we ever? We didn't play 30 frames on PS4, did we?
Dude, it's 30 frames on PS4.
It's probably why it feels a lot better to play now. Probably why. Okay.
Was there? I think we should comment, Jay, on the supply issue, and I have an update for you.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I actually got a notification about. I think there's like an random like there was a shop that I followed for like back in the day about updates on PS5s and Xbox Series X's to like update me when there's like a new stock or whatever. And one came in recently where you had to buy the console with a very expensive gaming chair, extra controller, and a headset. And I was like, why? I hate the fact that they're doing these bundles. Like, you can only buy them if you also spend an extra 300 quid on extra stuff. Bugs the hell out of me.
Are you comfortable in saying the shop, the retailer, Jay?
Yeah, I think it was like Black Box or like just Box or something.
Oh, okay.
But I know they all do it. I mean, Game does it. They all do it.
Yeah. Well, Microsoft doesn't do it, I don't think.
Oh, no, that's true. I think if you buy direct, I don't think you have to get a bundle. You can buy bundles, but they give you the option to get a single.
I think so.
So yeah, you said you had an update. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to let you know that I just googled online Series S the other day, and I think you can pretty much get a Series S now if you want one.
Yeah, no, I think that's been like that for a while.
Right. Okay.
From what I've seen, that might have only been in the
Series
few months, but
Series X, you can't do
no.
that.
But why would you want a Series S? Although I will say, Series S I think is 1440, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if you were you're not fussed about 4K and you're just fussed about 1440, then yeah, I guess it's probably okay.
Well, these Digital Foundries videos I've been watching, Jay.
A
lot of the Series S tests they've done have been really impressive.
Yeah. No, I remember all the tests that they did before it even came out. Like people who had it early, and they were saying that, how amazed they were at just what the S was, so they couldn't wait to see what the X was like. And I think they're fairly similar. Obviously, the only difference being that the X is just more powerful in general, right?
Yeah, and bigger and bulkier. Yeah. Any comment on the size still?
No, it fits quite nicely. I've got both my consoles fitting in quite a nice space. What I will say is I don't actually have the back of the console facing the wall. I have it facing away from the wall, sort of off to the side, so that it can. I don't know if it makes any difference at all, but I feel like it makes some difference if the console intake is like more open.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of having it because I think they actually have that in like some of in the manual somewhere. They say don't have the intake up against somewhere where it can't breathe in as much, right? Because obviously it'll just get hotter.
Does it pull in air from the back? Does it?
Yeah. If you have the console facing forward, it'll pull in air from the back. Yeah.
Got you.
So you kind of want to have the back or either off to the side or even have the whole console completely flipped so that it's away from the wall,
Yeah.
Or laying down.
It's funny, dude. I saw a YouTube video and they were joking about how you treat a new console like a newborn baby, and I was like, that is exactly how you treat a new console.
Yeah, honestly, weirdly, my Series X has stayed in the same position for a whole year. I haven't moved it.
Wow.
Like it's exactly where it was the day I got it. I haven't moved it an inch. Like I reckon if I moved it right now, there'd be a dust ring of just exactly where it's been for the last year, or a dust square, should I say?
Oh, very good.
Love it.
I'm not sure if this is relevant, Jay, because it's not necessarily tied to the console, but we should perhaps bring up the fact that we're lacking exclusives on Xbox still.
Yeah. So what we got? What's exclusive on Xbox?
Horizon 5.
Okay. I mean, that's not even out yet, technically. I mean, it is and it isn't.
I'm going to have some help with this one, I think.
Yeah.
Halo's obviously coming next month, in a month. I'm very excited.
Oh, yeah, so Halo counts.
Psychonauts 2 is on PlayStation. All the Bethesda games are on Deathloop's a PlayStation exclusive, isn't it? So.
Yeah, that's on sale the other day. Can you believe it?
Oh man, Arcane games never sell well.
I think it's like 36 quid. It's like super cheap.
Wow.
I was like, wow, that's really bad.
Don't miss out on that 10 out of 10 video game, Jay. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
The one that was clearly a 10 out of 10 for the right reasons. Oh, okay, here we go. Here are the Xbox Series X exclusives in 2021.
Okay.
It's actually quite a long list, but a lot of these are like really random. So I might just try and find the ones
games.
that are like, the majority of these are indie. The ones you might have heard of. The Ascent, which I played, that was on Game Pass.
Yeah. You played it? You didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me you played it.
I played it for like 5 or 6 hours. It wasn't too bad. Apparently the new Fable is obviously going to be exclusive.
Yes. Yeah.
Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite. The Medium, that was another. I haven't played that yet, but I have it downloaded. I am going to play that.
I think that is coming to PlayStation.
Okay, currently.
But it's on Game Pass, so
yeah, exactly. Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, fair.
I mean that's PC too, but you know.
Yeah.
Sable, that came out recently.
Oh yeah.
Starfield, that's going to be Xbox exclusive. Oh, it's Bethesda,
yes.
right?
Yeah, but that's not coming until next year.
Yeah, these are just ones that are like, you know, either upcoming or are already out. I'd say there's like a good 30 games, but the majority of them are indie. I'd say like maybe 4 or 5 of them really aren't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know there's going to be a bunch of Xbox exclusives that I'm like, or PlayStation exclusives that I'm super excited about. Like Final Fantasy, basically, you know.
Dude,
although Final Fantasy 16 isn't exclusive, is it? I don't think.
Do you know what? I can't remember.
I don't think it is. I think I've seen it listed on Xbox. Oh, maybe not. It is PlayStation 5 exclusive.
Wow.
But it does say it could come to Series X.
Okay.
It's a timed exclusive.
Okay.
Which is odd. But
so, couple of things. One, what's your prediction for when anyone can pick up a Series X?
What you mean in terms of like how quickly they're gonna go?
Yeah, like supply meets demand.
Oh, okay. I have a feeling there's going to be a surge. Not this Christmas, but next Christmas.
Okay.
So I still don't think they're going to have enough for this Christmas. I reckon what they're doing right now is probably stockpiling. They're probably like collecting as many. They're making as much as they possibly can, storing them away, and then selling them all at Christmas, basically. Or like, and I reckon in the next month, between now and like the beginning of December, there's probably going to be like a couple drops, maybe. Or they might just release like a bunch to shops, and then they'll just get loads of people out of the way, you know. Hard to say. I mean, I reckon there'll be a big surge. I mean, there'll probably be a big surge every year. It seems like. I don't know if they're ever going to meet demand, honestly.
That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
It's definitely a possibility. I think my gut tells me this is going to sound absurd.
Okay.
My gut tells me June, July for Xbox this year, we might be looking at a bit of a stable situation. Just for a bit. PS5, I don't think we get a stable situation till the end of 2023.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'd say end of 2022, stable Xbox, and maybe end of 2023, stable PlayStation.
Okay.
And by stable, I don't even know if I mean stable.
yeah.
Like, you know, maybe like stable, I'm meaning like a slowdown in demand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put something out there, Jay. I think if I'm trying to go through in my head all the exclusives, so I'm not speaking out of reason. I think Starfield might be the most important Xbox exclusive in the last 10 years.
I'm not getting my hopes up for that game.
No, but I just mean in terms of a console seller.
Oh. Well, I mean, we're not getting it for a while, though, are we?
No, not till next year.
What's the name of that PlayStation? I don't even know if it's a PlayStation game. That, like, remember that trailer at E3 of that really spacey looking game? Where you're sort of like in like a New York's like Tokyo style city, and then they go to space. It's like,
is it Promethea?
No, it's something like that. But you know what I mean, right? Whatever that game was. I feel like that's almost like the equivalent of what Starfield is, just like another spacey type thing.
Oh my god, dude! No way, dude. Starfield is like.
Have you not seen the leaks? I mean, you probably haven't, but.
I haven't.
I have.
No, I'm not arguing aesthetic-wise, but in terms of bigness, this is. I mean, in my opinion, this is as big as Final Fantasy.
What, Starfield?
For the West, yeah.
Well, I don't know yet. I've seen a lot of it, but I haven't seen enough to know what the scale is necessarily.
All I'm saying is that has got to be the biggest Xbox exclusive Xbox have had in a long, long time.
It doesn't really feel like much, does it?
Very good.
Like to
By the
me,
way, Jay,
when I hear
go
Final
on.
Fantasy 16 PS5 exclusive, I hear, oh my god, finally.
Yeah.
When I think
Yeah.
Starfield, I think, I don't know, it could be good. Like there's no brand guarantee. Like it is Bethesda, but then I feel like Bethesda don't have as good of a reputation as Square Enix.
And yeah.
Like it's close, but it's not. You know.
No, I agree. I was actually going to agree with you that I don't think Xbox have as good of a brand as PlayStation.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, PlayStation is the east, and Xbox is the middle, and I mean the west, I guess, right? Sort of like Europe and the west.
But I also see PlayStation as the west.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is. They're both. Actually, didn't they say something about how Xbox is sold pretty well actually in the east?
Yeah,
obviously
not.
not.
Best-selling Xbox in Japan.
Better than every other Xbox previously, but still not enough for it to like be drastic.
Impactful.
You know.
Yeah.
Like I think didn't Switch outsell? I think Switches have outselled Xbox in the East.
Yes, I believe.
Yeah,
definitely.
that makes sense. Switches are amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, by the way, Jay, where is that Cuphead DLC? You remember that?
Oh Jesus.
I think it was scheduled for 2019.
Didn't they say something about that? That they was gonna? Didn't they say they were gonna either like cancel it or something?
Oh, the last time I checked, they just said it's coming.
So. Yeah, it's all right. Well, if we forget about it, it'll be nice when it arrives. You know.
I think it'll. I think it's turned into Cuphead too. If I'm.
Oh yeah, I'd rather it would. Yeah.
So. Okay. Well, I think overall we're happy with the console. We're happy with the performance. We're happy with the controller. A little ifs and buts. But mainly it's the games. Now, if we
it always comes down to the games, man. You can't do anything without them. You know.
It's true. It's what it's made for.
Yeah.
And now, if we move to PlayStation 5, it has the combination of the games already.
Yeah.
Well, at least more. At least more. So, Jay, what do you think about your PlayStation is much newer than mine.
Yeah, I actually have the upgraded. I say upgraded, like the different version compared to yours. Yeah, the different mod, like the version 1.1. You have 1.0. I have 1.1. You know.
Yes.
Well, I guess if you want to say 1.0 and 2.0, whatever you want to call it, you know.
Have you played it much?
Only recently. I've played a lot of Final Fantasy 14 and then just Ghosts.
And what do you think about the actual console, the physical console?
It's too big.
Did you get digital edition?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
It's too big. Way too big.
Way too big.
Way too big. It needs to be about a quarter of the size less. It's too noisy.
It's so big.
Way too noisy. I will say it has quietened down since I've been playing it. I think one of the biggest complaints is I can't remember, coil whine, I think is the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a big thing. There's like a component in the PlayStation that someone actually opened up their PlayStation and found where the coil was, or like this part of the coil, where it's sort of they've deliberately encased it in like a really thick plastic, so that any noise coming out of it is dampened almost. So the PlayStation knew that this was a problem. They just sort of covered it up with like a big chunk of plastic, essentially. So that's kind of annoying. It was a really bad initially when I first got, like so bad that I actually had to take it apart and take the fan out to see if that was the issue. Wasn't the issue.
Quick aside there, Jay.
Yeah.
The bravery to do that on a new console.
Yeah, I know. I was sweating. Because the annoying thing about it is there's a special tool. There's a special tool you're supposed to have to be able to open it up. I didn't have that tool, so I had to Google how to use like a plain flathead to try and open it up rather than with the tool. So I had to literally break the inside of the security pin and then turn it with a flathead on its side. It was very like hard to do. It took me like a good hour and a half, which wasn't worth it in the end, but we got there. I mean, yeah, luckily it wasn't the issue.
You were so worried about it that
this was day one. I got the first day I had it. I turned it on and was like, "That's too much of a noise.
Really?
Can't be doing that." Yeah, But luckily, I think one of the things a lot of people said was the longer you play it, give it like 2 to 4 weeks, keep playing some games, and hopefully the noise should dampen a little bit. And I think it has, so I'm not too. Pragmata was the name of the game.
Oh, I was kind of there.
Yeah, close. You begin with P.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, I had a completely different thing in my head.
Are you still of the same opinion as me, Jay, which is that it's just not a good looking console?
No, I say one of the biggest things that's happened recently is that Reskin company, I think they're called, or like Plate Skin or something. Like they've been in a bit of a legal battle with PlayStation in that they've been trying to sell these plates which you can buy. I remember even before the thing came out, they'd shut them down, but they've like come up with a different company or whatever a couple of times. And yeah, this I think we discussed this a while ago. The reason why it's white is so that it doesn't soak up as much heat. Basically, it has to expend heat somewhere, and it does that by having a white outer casing. Because if it was black, it would hold all that heat and it would probably blow up. Like it wouldn't be good. So yeah, I mean that's why it's white. But I would rather it had been black, honestly. Black is a much nicer, sleeker color,
Yeah, definitely. I don't mind the middle bit, the actual console itself, right? So take away the white.
I've actually taken the plates off, and I wouldn't mind just having it without the plates on.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
The plates just. Ugh. Anyway, so. Oh, by the way, what are your thoughts on? Well, now that I've thought about it, the USBs for both consoles.
The USBs?
Yeah, like how many slots? There's one slot in each of the front.
Yeah, for both. Yeah.
Have you ever had a? Do you ever want more on the front or?
I think because I've only got one controller, I think one is fine.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have more. I guess it would be nice to have more just so I could have like a USB in one and then the charging cable in the other. I'm not too fussed, I'm never really. I don't ever really need to use both at the same time because my USB just goes straight into my TV. So my TV only has one USB as well, which is a nuisance. But
wow, that's surprising.
Yeah, I think it's because I got the cheaper model. That's probably why.
And the dashboard, Jay, or what's
on the PlayStation?
Called? Yeah, what's that? I forgot what it's called. Is it dashboard?
Do they call it that?
I don't know. PlayStation Home? I don't know. Yeah, what are your thoughts? I actually think the PS5 dash is more different. How am I going to say this?
I don't know.
So it makes sense. The PS5 dash is more different to the PS4 than the Series X dash is to the Xbox One.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it is definitely a bit of a drastic change.
I wouldn't necessarily drastic, but it feels like a change.
I'd say it's a bit. Yeah, it's like it's still got that sort of like level thing where you can go up.
Yeah.
You can go to the middle and go to the bottom, but I'm still struggling to like figure out what does what. Sometimes I probably played on the PS5 now for a month roughly, and it's still I'm still finding like my muscle memory hasn't really kicked in properly. Like I'm still having to press buttons and think, oh, I pressed the wrong one. I should probably go press this one instead. Like it's not as intuitive as it should feel, which is odd to me. But I think they didn't deliberately make it like harder to figure out. It's just I haven't really like spent enough time trying to figure out what does what necessarily. I haven't really needed to do much other than to put it in rest mode, turn it off completely, or close the game, or go to my downloads list. Like that's pretty much all I needed to do, and my trophies, I guess. But I don't really look at my trophies that much, honestly.
I think once you get Miles Morales, you'll probably learn the UI in a bit more detail. But
I mean, I don't know.
You might do.
I don't really need to do much on there,
Well, that's true.
I think I think the thing I've sort of figured out now is the browsing my games list is a little bit annoying to traverse. And then I will say actually the store I'm not a massive fan of.
Agreed.
Like it feels really odd.
Agreed.
It's strange how like I much preferred the PS4 store and UI to the Xbox One, and now I've completely flipped. Like the Xbox Series X is so much nicer of a UI versus the PS5. It's like, oh god, I kind of wish I could like go back to the PS4 one on the PS5, but I don't think they'll ever give you that option, I don't know.
I agree with you. The big fault for me, Jay, as a trophy hunter, is that like I have to click the home button, go home, go on the game, scroll down, and then scroll right just to look at trophies.
I think there is another way to do it. I think you can do it just from the bottom menu. I think you can actually add it, like you can sort of on the Xbox. I'm not sure. This is like, I haven't tried it.
I will take a look. I will take a look.
Yeah, I think you can
add to it. Because it is diabolical if you can't.
I actually don't mind that though. I found that to not be as annoying as it probably is to you. But I think that's just personal preference. I actually don't mind it. I don't mind it. I think it's fine. Like I'm not too fussed about. Sometimes not too fussed about needing to take an extra step. But yeah, I do agree that I'd much rather it be like a press middle button, down, trophy, done, rather than middle button, home, go to game, scroll down, go right. Like it's like an extra 2 or 3 steps. I do agree.
Furthermore, I might be missing something here, Jay. Favorite word. Furthermore,
word of the week.
I might be getting this wrong here. Do you have to click the power, like the PS button, go down to the bottom menu, and then go all the way to the right to turn it off?
Yeah.
Why can't you just hold it down for 5 seconds?
I haven't tried it.
I have, and you can't do it.
I mean, the only other way is just to go up to it and press, right?
I just think like.
Yeah, that is annoying. That's probably one of the best things about Xbox. It's the fact you just hold down the home, and then it goes either. It gives you 3 options. It gives you turn off controller, turn off console, and I think
restart console.
Restart console. Yeah, so they should definitely have that on PlayStation. But that is the difference in design, I guess. That was actually one of the. I really hated the way the UI looked when they showed it off. I was like, oh, this is gross. I think they actually changed it a little bit since then.
The PlayStation?
Yeah, I want to say they changed it slightly, but I could be wrong. Because I remember they started, like, when you were playing a game, they had all these, like, weird card things pop up, and I was like, I don't want any of that. That just seems like way too much of a hassle.
They're still there.
They're still there? I don't even look anymore. Actually, no, that's a lie. I do look, and I don't like it.
Yeah, agreed.
It's like when I actually will say it has come in handy too. I was playing Ghost, and it was saying, like, there was like a mission, and if you clicked on the middle menu, and one of the cards was like, do you want a tip for this mission? So I clicked on it, and I can't actually remember whether it gave me a good enough tip or not, but I might look at that again in the future. I don't know why I'd need that. Like, I guess if you're like more of a casual player and you don't really know what the internet is, seems a bit pointless to me, you know?
Yeah, because like I think it's rare that tip's going to be as good as, you know, Power Pixel or Power Pixel, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, just any guide. Look up anything online.
Any guide. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair.
They need to hire that company.
Oh, dude.
Someone needs to hire them because they're on it. They are on it.
Fantastic. Which one do you use for your Netflix and YouTubes and stuff, or do you go on your TV?
TV has an app for both of those, yeah.
So interesting. My TV has an app, and I'll just go on my Xbox.
Yeah, but you got to think. For me, it's more of like a money power consumption thing.
Yes.
Would I rather have just a TV on with the app, or have the TV on with the console and watch it from there? It just seems like a bit of a waste to me.
Yep. No, fair.
Also, I think just having this is fine, being able to traverse the UI. I would actually probably prefer having a controller to traverse it, but sometimes it feels like it doesn't work as well. I'm not sure. I haven't really tried it in a while, so I don't know.
I don't think it's interesting. I find a controller easier than a TV remote.
I guess if you've used it more often. That is one of the downsides, actually, because my battery will probably run out on this super quick. And also, like, the buttons will probably wear away, so I'd need to, like, get a new thing, so I don't know. I'm really worried about that, because obviously if I can't use this, I can't, like, do anything.
No, I'm sure it'll be fine. I know what you mean, though, because, like, TVs haven't got buttons on them anymore, have they? Like,
no,
manual
mine
buttons.
hasn't. I'm so pissed about that. I'm so pissed about that.
So, back to the PlayStation, Jay.
Yeah.
The controller.
Oh, yeah, let me grab that as well.
I don't want to be too controversial here, but you basically haven't used the best thing about the PlayStation controller.
I haven't, no. I've completely turned off vibration and haptic feedback. I don't see the necessity for it. I don't like any sort of movement in my controller other than me moving it. I don't like it.
So what did you think about the very minor thing here. What did you think about the ghost activity when you have to move the controller up and down?
Oh, what, this one?
Yeah.
I thought it was very innovative, and I think it's actually probably one of the best things about the DLC.
That we agree on.
Glad.
That we agree on.
I actually really like the design of this, and I like how it feels too. Again, this actually reminds me of the old original Xbox, where it's got the kind of crescent kind of feel to it.
Oh man, black looks so much better than my shitty white one.
It does, right? I mean,
oh my god, bro.
Actually, hang on. Let's do a comparison, because I'm not. Look, it's got dust on it. I haven't even used it.
You've got the white one.
I haven't even used it. It's got dust on it. It's like all dusted as hell. You can't even see, but it's so dusty. Oh god, so dusty. I'll only ever use this if this is completely broken.
Split in half.
Seriously, I hate touching it. It's so gross. It just weirdly it reminds me of like a Star Trooper kind of helmet, which isn't a bad thing, but I'm sick of Star Wars, so I don't really want to look at it.
Yeah.
You know, I'd much rather look at the black Stormtrooper. It's just so much nicer.
It's not nice. But what I will say is I do like the controller a lot. You know, I think it borrows a lot from the Xbox controller. It's bigger. It handles better.
It certainly does.
I personally, Jay, think the haptic feedback is the one thing that makes this controller truly special.
Sure.
And if the Xbox had haptic feedback, I'd be like, the Xbox controller is the best controller ever made. But
this actually has a grip on it. It has a texture.
Does the white one?
Yeah, they both do. Yeah.
Oh.
You can't really see it on the white one as well, but yeah, it's definitely there. It's just not as prevalent as it is on the. It's definitely a lot thinner of a texture. It's there. It's just not as noticeable.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do a comparison right now. I will say the finger placement is basically the same on both controllers. Like if you look where my fingers are here, exactly the same. 3 fingers on the inside, triggers, and then sticks. Exactly the same. It does feel nice too. I will say obviously the one difference being, or the bigger difference, is that the home button is on the bottom on the PlayStation, and then on the top for the Xbox, which is still like messing with my mind sometimes. I keep pressing the bloody touchpad by accident. To go home, I keep pressing it, and I'm like, oh god, that was an annoying thing. The touchpad, I still don't like it.
Dude, it's like a big start button.
No. I don't press it. I still press this. There's a little tiny button.
Okay.
I don't use that as a start button. I just don't. Only time I've ever used it, I think there was a game where you could press it for a start thing, and I don't think I've actually played anything since that has allowed me to do that.
It might be because you're not playing the right games, Jay. I'm gonna be honest.
I guess so. Yes.
Yeah, you God of Wars, your Horizons, but we'll move on. Jokes aside, I do think both those games use a touchpad for like a start menu or a map.
Sure.
Moving on, the games, Jay.
Actually, I will say this is a lot better of a controller just because you can actually charge it and there's no batteries.
Fair shout.
Yeah. This is annoying because I have to keep putting batteries in it when it's run out of charge. So annoying. I will say it's just because I haven't actually got an adapter for the new controller. I've only got the old adapter for the old controller, so I can't. But if I had it, it'd be equally as good. It's just slightly better than PlayStation 1.
Yeah, I think Xbox missed a trick on that one. I feel like they made a reason for why they didn't do the charge thing.
I mean, they have done it. It's just the point. I don't know if my Series X came with a wire. I didn't even look. I don't think it did. If it did, I didn't see it.
I bought a little charger.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you have to buy it. Yeah, which is like.
Now, Jake, the Series X charging pack isn't as good, and I'll tell you for why. It hasn't got a little light on it to tell you when it's fully charged.
No. Dude, that's so disappointing. It's so handy having the little light.
I know.
But because mine's. When did this one come out? 2012, 2013?
I think 2013.
My controller, cord and set pack I've had since day one, so it's almost 10 years old, and it's only just working. I have to like fiddle about with it a little bit, and sometimes it won't work, but other times it does. I have to like blow on it like a bloody cartridge.
Yeah.
But it's so handy having that little orange light, man.
So handy.
Oh man.
Shout out to the battery life, Jay. Xbox is phenomenal. PlayStation, not great still, in my opinion.
I mean, like you said, it'll say low battery for like an hour and a half.
If not 2.
Sometimes 2, depending on if you have got the haptic feedback on or not. Which I don't, so it's fine. Can you imagine if I had haptic feedback on? This thing would run out in like 2 hours. It'd be useless.
I'm talking about good vibrations. Yeah, I mean, I love it. That is probably a reason why it doesn't last as long, I have to admit.
Whatever.
Do you know what's funny as well? I love haptic feedback, but sometimes I will turn vibration off on most games.
At this point, I've gotten to the point now where the first thing I do on every game is turn the vibration off and then put subtitles on.
Yes.
It's the first thing I do. Yes. Every game. Don't like it. It's just, it completely mucks with my focus on playing a game.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Messes me up.
So the games, Jay, on PlayStation 5. Seems like they already have a pretty big advantage, I'd say.
Yeah, so Spider-Man. They've got all the Spider-Man. So they've got Spider-Man 2 coming out eventually too. Returnal, which I'm not too sure about nowadays. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 when it comes out.
Well, hold on. Sorry. I should have clarified. Just the games at the moment, even.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Deathloop is another one, but I mean, we're not really fussed about that.
No. Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Yeah, even those, like, way more than Xbox.
Yeah, and they're probably going to be more too.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no, I'll talk about it on the podcast. That's fine.
That's right. And a shout out to the director's cuts and things,
Yeah, Death Stranding. Yeah, which I've played.
FF7 Remake. Okay.
Really fun.
You played the Death Stranding one?
Yeah, played the Death Stranding one. Got through that.
You want to save it for the? Let's save it for the show.
No, there wasn't really much to do. It literally just was like. I haven't done like the new stuff on it necessarily. I've just sort of updated my save, I guess. Because when I transferred my stuff over, it got rid of a bunch of stuff. So I had to redo a bunch of stuff.
Oh, okay.
I had to redo. No, I mean, I found some of it, but there's still a lot. I probably spent like a good 4 to 6 hours having to rebuild a bunch of stuff.
Oh my god.
Which was a nuisance, but
I meant to ask you if you ever finished the Death Stranding stuff. I meant to ask.
Yeah, no, I just sort of touched it, but I don't think I really need to do like the new mission or anything like that. It was only a $5, so I don't really.
Okay.
I'll come to it eventually, I will say the game does play a lot better. I'll give it that.
Oh, okay.
Even better than it did on. I mean, it was amazing on PlayStation 4, but yeah, there's definitely a drastic difference on PS5. But just that's to be expected, honestly.
Yeah.
There's a point. I haven't played FF7 on 5 yet. I'm waiting for the DLC on that, and then obviously when Remake 2 comes out.
Oh, dude, it's amazing.
I'll play it eventually. Amazing. Yeah.
Dude, that game is. Oh.
It's amazing, huh?
So good.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, what was I gonna say? Shit. Oh, have you? I don't suppose you have ever heard the mic from the PS5 controller.
Was there one that came with it?
There's one built in it.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Oh, there is, isn't there? Yeah.
Okay. Let me clarify. So some games you'll hear the speaker.
Oh yeah, I turned that off.
There is a mic in the controller.
Yeah, I can see it. It's very, very, very tiny hole right there.
Yeah. All I was going to say was I've heard it a couple of times in parties.
Yeah,
and considering it's a mic in a controller, all I would say is it's not horrendous.
No, if you shout really loud, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Like most, mics built into stuff that, you can peak those things pretty quick. But yeah, I will agree. I actually saw a streamer use it the other day.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty smart. They used it as their backup mic because I think their normal mic had conked out. So they're like, right, I'll just use my controller instead.
Well, it's I think it's good for people who you don't want to buy a headset or can't afford a headset, basically.
Yeah, and you don't have to hold it too close. I think that's what's good
No.
about it. Like you can just have it right in front of you, and that's a very good distance. Even if you're shouting, it still won't peak too much from that distance. So it's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, they don't have that in the Xbox, right?
No, I don't think so.
Well, there you go. Then
No.
there's already an improvement on previous designs. You know.
So it sounds like it's definitely not a. Well, one might argue, but it's definitely not a clear-cut choice for us yet as to,
Which one's better?
defo go PS5 or defo go Xbox.
It depends
Or
on
would
what
you
you
say
want.
PS5 because of the games, basically? rather than-
PS5 for exclusives, and then Xbox for Game Pass.
There it is.
Just depends on what you want. If you're a true gamer, you're probably eventually going to get both.
Mm.
You know, it depends on what you play.
It sounds, Jay, like you're the same as me in the sense that you've actually gone from PS4 to Xbox.
Yeah, I
Series
flipped. I feel like I
X.
do that almost every generation. I just flip. Like it was Xbox 360, never
Yeah.
PS3, and then it was PS4.
PS4.
Not really much
Yeah.
of one, and now it's back to the Xbox, and not as much as the PS5. But I have a feeling it's going to be a good mixture of both. I feel like we're sort of in an age now where exclusives are sort of like the Xbox is sort of caught up quite well in terms of I think Game Pass is primarily its main selling point at the minute.
Definitely.
I feel like every Xbox should come with like a free month of Game Pass.
I think it does, mate. I could be wrong.
There you go. Actually, you're right. I think it does. The first time you do it, it only costs 99p for the first month, right?
Something like that.
So there you go. Yeah, basically, it comes with a £1 version of Game Pass for a month. But yeah, that's super handy.
Yeah. So we've got things we like about the Xbox and things we don't, and we've got things we like about the PlayStation and things we don't.
I'm actually kind of curious to see what the next year brings. Whether there's going to be any. I was actually going to make a prediction. I think there might be a updated version of both consoles. 2020 between 2025 and 2026, 27 maybe. Like halfway through its, a little over halfway through its cycle. I think because of the restrictions it's had over the last year, I think it needs an extra year or two to sort of like evolve maybe. Because there's always some sort of like mid-generation update, right? There's like a Xbox Series X Plus,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's already been an update for the PlayStation 5. I'm not sure about this Series X actually.
Yeah, but like that's more like a change in design rather than a. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not here's a PS5 Pro. You know.
No, obviously, but I think a lot of it was sort of just improving on day one stuff. Like you know, I feel like the first PlayStation 5, the one that you have, is almost like a beta version. Like genuinely, like it kind of is like that sort of like, oh, there's a couple things here we could have improved on before actually releasing it. So let's just do that now. While we're having problems, you know, we might as well sort it out now rather than later. But I don't think they've had that with the Series X. I don't think there's like a 1.1, you know.
No.
I think it's still the same, unless they do, and I'm not sure. But I'd much rather. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily rather have the more recent one of either console, because I think they're not really that much different. But it's good to know that they've changed things. You know, that they've gone and went, oh, there was an issue with that, or we could have done that slightly better. Let's change it sooner rather than later. Because I feel like back in the day they would have just changed it on the next updated version, which would have been 4 or 5 years later. You know.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair.
I'm actually kind of annoyed at the prospect of there being an updated version of either of these consoles, and me being like, well, I guess I've got my money's worth for the last 3 or 4 years, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford. I mean, I can probably afford to buy 2 more, but I'd rather not, you know.
Oh no way, dude! I don't want to.
I have a feeling that I mean, seeing as the PS5 is saying that it can play 8K eventually, I don't think they're going to upgrade it anytime soon.
No.
Like, what's the only update they can add to it is, I don't know, just less quiet or more quiet, even, you know. About as much as they can do.
We need games to get better before consoles get more powerful.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just like gaming companies not being able to have their games optimized. Yeah, a lot of it's just lack of optimization, honestly.
Yeah.
I think as soon as we get games that can play 4K 60 frames comfortably without there being any noise too much or like any drastic change, yeah, just maintain. Like, what is so difficult about maintaining 60? Why does it drop below between like 54 and 60 so often? I don't like it.
Some games don't.
Yeah, some don't, some do. But, you know, we'll see.
It's a very interesting console generation for us, Jay. Obviously, we got our consoles at different times. The launch lineups were messed up, in my opinion. Nobody can get one still, for the most part. So yeah,
we're very lucky to have
upgrade.
Both.
Yeah,
very lucky.
The idea of a mid-gen upgrade is just like
scary as hell. Don't do that.
but
Costs
yeah,
too much.
Like, I'm very excited to see what's coming down the road, because like we've got both consoles.
I got some pretty good good things to talk about on the next podcast, actually, about like prospects of upcoming games and stuff. I think we need to do that at the end of the year, as like upcoming stuff. We just need to like go through a list of stuff, you know.
Yeah,
talk about what we're excited about.
Get the hype going.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah,
definitely.
Okay. All right, dude. Well, thank you for joining me. I think that's pretty much it, unless you had anything else you wanted to bring up.
No, I think that's pretty solid.
Good discussion of the consoles, the games. So we will see you all, hopefully, if I get my act together, back on schedule Saturday. And that's it. Hope you have a good week whenever the hell this posts, and we will see you soon.
Peace.
Ta-da.